Hi, everyone. Welcome to the quarterly meeting for 52 Hike Challenge. This is our quarter 2 meeting. We appreciate you all being here with us today. My name is Carla Amador. I am the founder of the 52 Hike Challenge, and I'm really happy to have some really wonderful guests today that I will talk about individually shortly here. But before we get started, I just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor for the year, Oboz Footwear. They are really helping us with our events this year, with our leadership team. We have over 30 chapters around the nation, over 50 leaders that we have on the team here that help us to, make community happen in local states. So really grateful to Oboz for helping us to create content and also host meetings like today. So with that, I'm just going to jump right into our agenda. Today we will, have a little backpacking basics with Deuter and navigation basics with Cris Hazzard. And then we will do some quick notes and questions at the end. And also there's going to be a giveaway. So stay till the end because we're giving away a pair of Oboz footwear. So just by being here at the meeting, you get a chance to win a pair of footwear for your hiking adventures. So really excited for that as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to have Amy from Deuter come on and talk a little bit about backpacking basics. If you're not familiar with Deuter, they make awesome backpacking and hiking packs and other mountain activity packs. I shouldn't just stick to hiking and backpacking, but I'll let Amy tell you a little bit more about what they do. I'm really, really grateful to Amy. They've been a partner of ours for, it's been probably more than 5 years. In that time, they have at many times helped us with our giveaways and supported us in that way. They've also donated these dirt bags that some of you have when you've done the Earth series, or sometimes we have special promos where we include those. And I love these dirt bags because when I'm hiking, I pick up trash, I put them in that bag, and it just helps me to remember to leave it better than I found it. So really grateful. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share, and I'm going to pass it on over to Amy. Thanks for being here, Amy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Am I popping up for everybody? Can you see me? Awesome. So I am Amy Peroulis, and I am the marketing manager in the United States for Deuter Backpacks. So we have actually been around for over 125 years. We've been making bags since 1898. Our headquarters are based in Germany, but here in the US, our US headquarters are in Boulder, Colorado. So we are at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, and it has been a terrible year for skiers. I have not used my ski pass at all. So this is actually very appropriate that I can be talking about backpacking already. Normally, we wouldn't be talking about backpacking this early because there's a lot of snow. But so there's a few things I want to talk about. I will talk about fitting a backpack as one of them. But another one that's really big for right now is if you are going to go on a backpacking trip, one of the things you need to look into is if you need permits to camp in certain areas. Here in Colorado, there are a lot of areas that you need permits for. A lot of the big, well-known attractions and places, not just here in Colorado, but other ones, you need a permit because they don't want overcrowding, excuse me, in some of these parks and beautiful lands. While in other places, you don't need a permit and you can just go and kind of disperse camp. And you just want to know in all the cases, how far away from the trail you need to be. So one of the things when I used to live in New England, I did some backpacking in the White Mountain National Forest. So I had to see what was acceptable, how far away from water I need to be, how far away from the trail I need to be in order to set up my tent or hammock. So those are all important things. And if it is a place you need a permit, a lot of permit applications are either have already opened, come and gone, or they're opening right around now. It's a super popular time to get permits. So if you are thinking about a particular trip to a particular location, that is definitely something you want. Can't wait till the last minute. You need to look into. I know like backpacking around the Maroon Bells in Colorado is a very popular thing. People come from all over the world for it, and you need permits in that area. So that's a big, thing to think about. And that kind of goes into the planning. If you have never backpacked before, you definitely want to read up on pretty much all aspects. Um, for the location, you want to know about how difficult the trail is, how steep. You want to find out about gear and equipment, of how much you want to carry with you. There's kind of, I would say, probably two types of backpackers, if I'm going to be very general. There's your ultralight backpackers. Those are a lot of times you'll see on the big through hikes, Appalachian Trail, the PCT, some of these other things like the Ice Age Trail. And they are going as light as humanly possible. They are doing the $450 Dyneema packs that have like pretty much no back system, but are ridiculously light. They're cutting their toothbrushes to next to nothing. They have pretty much no sleeping pad that they're putting down, and all the power to those people. That is not me or how I travel at any point, but I do think it's amazing that they can do that. And I'm always in awe of the through hikers that are going ultralight. I am a person who likes a little more comfort. I want to actually have a sleeping pad. Um, I probably will pack maybe a little extra clothing, but you still should really think about what is necessary to bring with you. And one of the ways you do that is actually packing your bag well in advance to see if all the things you are hoping fit in. And then if they don't, it gives you time to look in to see what can be swapped out. So one of the things you can look into is there are some gear stores that will rent stuff, so that you don't have to go ahead and buy stuff right away. This is great if if you're not really sure and want to try a couple things out. I definitely recommend borrowing from friends, renting. I've had friends borrow bags from me. Obviously, working for Deuter, I have access to some demos that I have here in Boulder with me, and my friends are like, "Okay, I'm doing this trip. Do you have something that would work?" And I lend out bags to them so they can give it a try. Um, and again, yeah, I mean, the big thing is packing ahead of time, knowing what you need to do. Clothes you wear, also like shoe wear. A lot of people think of what was the movie with Reese Witherspoon and she loses her hiking boot. I forget the name of the movie, but so a lot of people will think of having to wear these heavy duty hiking boots. But is that what you always hiking? Is that something you normally hike in? Or are you the type that does your regular hiking in trail runners? If that's the case, you're going to be more comfortable backpacking with trail runners. Yes, it's more weight on your back. And oftentimes people say with more weight, you want more of the plate in your shoe to help. But if you're not used to those, hiking boots, you're probably going to be uncomfortable. So one of the biggest things with your backpacking, at least for me, and what Deuter is all about comfort. And again, not just your backpack, shoes, clothing. You want to be what you're comfortable in. Because if you're not comfortable, it's probably going to make for a bad experience overall. And you might feel like, oh, I don't really like backpacking. And maybe it was because you were uncomfortable and not because you did not enjoy your overnight. So when it comes to backpacks, this is true for not just backpacking. It also, a lot of this comes in handy for hiking, for skiing, if you're wearing a backpack skiing. But you really want to make sure it fits correctly. I don't want you buying a Deuter backpack because I talked today and then it does not fit you correctly. I do not want that to happen. I want to make sure you are in what is the most comfortable bag for you. And a good way to do that is to actually go into a store and try bags on. And you can't just try it on, you need to put weight in it because when you're out backpacking, you're going to have probably 20, potentially 20 pounds in there or more of gear. So if you're in the store and you're trying it on with nothing, you don't actually get the real feel of how it fits on your hips, how it fits on your shoulders. So again, it's really good. But if you have a friend you're borrowing from, you could be like, hey, can you throw some of your equipment in so I can feel? Um, and I know sometimes that's not the case. You might be somewhere that it's not easy to get to a location to try something on, or your nearby location doesn't have what you've researched and think is going to be the best for you. And, you do have to buy it online. But again, do it with enough time that if you have to return it and try something else, that you have that opportunity. So some of the things you are looking for with not just your backpacking bag, but any of these technical bags is that you have it so that the weight is on top of your hips. You don't want to have your shoulders taking all of the weight. As someone who's had 3 shoulder surgeries, I know this really firsthand that I have to make sure the hips, which are a lot stronger than your shoulders anyway, are taking the weight. And when you are in a store, the store staff should be able to fit you correctly, I hope. If not, you want the hip belt on the top of your hips. A lot of people kind of don't get this right and actually have it a little lower on their hips. So the big thing is to have it on top. And then the thing I often see wrong on all type of backpacks is the stabilizers up at the top. I see people sometimes just have them totally cranked and the backpack, especially backpacking, is hitting their head. Or they have them super loose and your bag is flying all over the place. I've seen this on hiking bags. I've seen this on our trail carriers. It's so hard for me when I'm out on the trail not to stop people and say, hey, I think I can help you out a little bit. But it's really important that you get those correct. And again, you're having them at about a 45-degree angle. One of the cool things with our new air contact core, I do have to do a little plug here, is we actually have 2 locations now for the stabilizer straps. And this is especially handy for the shorter individuals because they tend to be the ones that get the short end of the stick, no pun intended. And they're the ones that if they're trying to get their stabilizer straps, they're hitting their head. We actually have that you can move it down and there's a kind of for the shorter individuals and then more for your medium height and large individuals is kind of the classic location. This is definitely a game changer for again, our shorter friends. I'm 5'10". It doesn't apply to me, but I have friends that are 5 feet tall and this is so great for them. We had a rep that's 5'1". She tried it on. It was like, holy cow, this is, a great change. So look for bags that might have that if you are a shorter individual. Because we're probably not the only ones out there that does something like that, but that's also something that you want to look into. If you are a woman and you have a curvy body and narrow shoulders, you definitely want to look into women's fit or SL, or if you're a guy that's shorter, or if you have a teenage boy, they're all going to benefit from a women's, or in our case, we call it an SL pack. Because it's not just about the shorter torso. In our case, we have narrower shoulder. It's closer in. The shoulder straps are closer. The straps are narrower and they have an S curve to go around your chest. While traditional bags are made for wider shoulders and they are for a little bit longer. They don't have the curve or the soft on the shoulder strap. So that could also be a big difference if you are a female and you are using a non-women specific. There's all these little points right there that you could have rubbing and not even realize. And that's why it's great that a lot of companies have not just done shrink it and pink it and have actually started studying women's bodies and seeing things like it's not just your torso. A lot of women have a chest, narrower shoulders, all those little things you want to look at when you are getting a backpack. So, and when you're asking a friend for advice on what backpack they use or what they prefer, also keep in mind if they have a similar body type as you, because your friend might not have a similar body type. So what works for them might not work for you. All these things are important when you are purchasing the bag. But then when you go to pack the bag, oh, hips don't lie. I love it. Um, when you're packing the bag, another important thing is actually how you put your stuff in the bag. It makes a difference. You want the heaviest stuff closest to your back and probably more on closer to your shoulders and your back. If you're on not a super steep trail, if you are doing something super steep backpacking, you actually want that weight a little bit lower, because if you think about it, you're leaning forward more. So your center of gravity is going to change a little bit. If you are not packing your bag like that and you put the heavy stuff on the top, it's going to pull you back. If you have the heavy stuff on the bottom, it's all these things will mess up your center of gravity and make it harder when you are going over those rocks and roots. Even if it's not a particularly hard trail, it does mess up your balance. And another thing, when you're looking at those backpacks, keeping this in mind, is if you're all about the suspension mesh back, it is more breathable for sure, but it puts the weight farther away from your body. So if you were going out for a longer backpacking trip and you have a lot more weight, you're probably not going to be actually comfortable. Yeah, you're maybe not going to sweat as much, but a lot of that weight is farther away from your body. And that's the opposite of what you want. You want it closer to your body. So you want to keep in mind how long you're going for and how much you're going to carry for your planning, whether one, you can physically do it, and two, if you have the right backpack for it. Um, the lighter stuff, the sleeping bag, that's all great for the bottom of the bag. And most backpacking bags these days have that separate compartment, so it's easy to pull out as well. So I mean, there is a lot to think about on your first trip. I love that you put in there, I'll never forget my first backpacking pack. I got used and totally was so uncomfortable. I mean, it's little things again, because if you're trying something on at the store and you maybe only have 10 pounds, but you're about to go out with 20, it makes a big difference. So I really think the most important thing, beside, making sure you have the proper permits, is making sure you have gear that you are comfortable with. Again, keep your shoes. That's another huge one. And your socks. Think about if you have the stuff that keeps you from getting blisters and you're comfortable with, you want to be comfortable. And maybe you find that the tent that you can get at Walmart is what you like and what works for you. Go for it. I'm not saying you have to go out there and get the super lightweight stuff. You want to be comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, you're not going to enjoy your time out there. So again, I'm all about the creature comforts of things and how to pack. And if people want, I can send you more, like I can do up a little like one sheeter with a diagram of kind of packing your bag, and also about sizing, because you can find out your own torso size. It is a little difficult, but you can do it with the help of a friend. So if you are buying online and can't get sized in a store, it's something you can at least get your torso size correct. Because some bags you have to buy small, medium, or large. Deuter packs, we don't have that. All of our backpacking bags have adjustable back systems, so that you can, you don't have to worry, oh, am I a small? Am I a medium? Or I'm in between. Ours, you can adjust once you get to go for that, which helps again if you're buying online. And I didn't know how much time I had to talk, so.
This is about right. So, thank you so much, Amy. You gave great tips, and I loved the first one, which was the permit season. I actually I was going to do the maroon bells, and we totally messed up. You know how crazy it is. You have to get a permit for each section you're going to be
Yes.
staying in each night. So we messed up. We were able to get like the starting point. Anyhow, we've tried for so many years, and every year it's something different. One year we got permits, and then it was thunder and lightning and we couldn't finish. It's just never, I mean, all these things happen, but I agree, it's like this year I totally missed out on 2 permits I wanted. It's always really challenging. So I think too, that's another really great tip is you're going to have to learn before the day of the permit, like how the system works, and there's a lot to it, but don't get frustrated. There's a lot of videos out there. We have one too. I mean, it's been a while since we've shared it, so the system's probably changed, and maybe Cris can touch on this a little bit, but You really have to kind of know what you're doing beforehand, not show up on the day of or the morning of, and then figure it out. Because by the time you've learned, the permits are all taken, you know. So, and also don't forget that there could be cancellations. So you could also have situations like that. There are a few places. I was recently looking at the Grand Canyon. They do have a few permits. You have to come the day before 8 in the morning for the next day. So it's a little complicated, but um, you know, and then, you know, I'm lucky here in New Mexico, a lot of the hikes don't require permits for backpacking. So you know, this is not likely in most places. Wherever it's popular, you need those permits. So, and I was just going to add one more thing to people new to backpacking. When you go with friends, one of the best ways to start backpacking, you can split the weight, like Amy was saying with the tent. When I first started backpacking, my friends and I, we would share, you know, we would take a tent, we'd share the tent. So someone would carry this part, I'd carry that part. So it helps with weight. We'd share a stove, a camping stove, and also our um, filter, our water filter. So that would help both of us to not have as much weight. So don't underestimate the, you know, like the ability to go with people, to share the weight, and enjoy the adventure. And I mean, the best way to learn is to get out there, right, Amy? I mean, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I feel like we can tell you all of these things, but when you go on your first backpacking trip, hopefully it's a smaller one, you're going to learn a lot and you're going to keep learning. I mean, I think I keep learning every time I go out on a trip like this. I'm like, oh, I needed that, or I forgot this, or I should have brought that, or I didn't need that, you know? So you're always fine tuning. So, I really appreciate you, Amy, sharing that information. I would love anything else that you'd like to share if you want to send it my way. I'll share it with the participants and then also our main community um, email list. So please send that over. We'd love to have it. And if anyone has any questions for Amy, feel free to put them in the chat. Um,
Oh, and we can also give away an air contact core today to
oh my
someone out there.
gosh, that's amazing.
And then for everybody else that doesn't win the air contact core, I do have a 25% off code that will work just this month. We're switching our website over in April, and my codes won't work then. But if anybody who doesn't win the backpack or is looking for something else, it's just Amy. Well, I'll type it here. Actually, that's a good idea. I keep forgetting about this
I
whole
was gonna
chat.
say I'm gonna put this on YouTube, so it's up to you if you're okay with that, or I can email it to the list directly.
Um, it's only good for a few more weeks. It's fine.
Okay.
Because again, this is gonna uh, only work for the month of March. So
Okay.
if
Great.
if people on the 52 hike challenge YouTube page see it and do it, go for it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. We love that. It's just wonderful. Really appreciate it. So yeah, feel free to put any questions that come up if you have any, or you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, in just the next few minutes, I will have Cris jump on. And yeah, Amy, thank you so much. That was really helpful. All the tips, the loaders. What do we call them? I mean, I know them as
Stabilizer straps or
load
yeah,
lift.
some people say load lifters or stabilizer straps.
Yeah, it's really good to
Yeah.
know how those work. I 100% agree with you on that. And I remember the first pack I had didn't, I maybe had them, but I don't think it did. My second pack had them, and that helped a lot to relieve a lot of the pressure on the shoulders. And yeah, backpacking packs. I mean, sometimes just depends on how heavy it is. You still could have chafing. And it just I don't know. I think I've been through through it all with backpacking packs, but I
Well, I
love
mean, yeah, and some people
backpacking.
just have more sensitive skin, so you probably are going to chafe. So then the next thing is what type, is it body glide? Is it
Yeah.
chamois butter? Everybody thinks of chamois butter for cyclists, but I've used chamois butter for chafing and like on my feet. Because I am a cyclist, so I had chamois butter around, and I'm like, well, if it works for chafing down there, it's going to work for my feet. I
Yeah.
did a mountaineering trip in the Alps, and that's literally what I put on my feet for to prevent blisters on the trip. So, that's it's also good to, maybe even have a little supply of that just in case something comes up on your trip that you start chafing. There's a lot of
Yes.
smaller sizes of these different like chafing creams that you can bring with you. That's might be something that, works and doesn't take up a lot of space or a lot of weight.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely get that after a couple when I'm backpacking. I do get some chafing in my thighs, and it is nice to have some sort of salve or something. Sherry had a question. Do you guys offer day packs? And
Yes, I also put the web address in there. We are probably our biggest or most known is actually our child carriers, our kid comfort child carriers. But then behind that is our day hiking packs. Our Speedlight 21 is our top seller overall. I have been a fan of our trail series long before I worked here. I probably had some version of the trail pack for over 15 years. And again, that just so happens with my body type that the trail works best. And we were the first company to do the suspension mesh back panels, but they just don't work for me. And that's just how I am. And, I realize that. And the trail bag has worked for me for years. So I just stick with it. We have skiing, we have travel duffel bags, we have a whole lot of stuff. So you can use that 25% off code on anything that's, I believe, not on sale on the website already. So any full price item. So it doesn't have to be for a backpacking bag.
thank you so much, Amy. Really appreciate you. And feel free to keep an eye out on the chat, and appreciate you having you on. And if you want at any point, if you want to do the winner, if you want to do like I usually do the generator, the random code generator, and I'll call out a name. So feel free to do that, and then
How
let
can I
us know.
find everybody's name?
Oh, the participant list, you probably maybe you don't see it. I'm not sure, but I can
Oh, I
or I
got it.
can
I,
fix.
I think I see it now. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and feel free to put it in the chat and let them know if they should email me or you for the backpack.
All right. I guess I'm
Okay.
about to open. I love the random number generator. I'm about to open that. So
And it looks like we have, um, excluding myself and you, there's 10
all right.
possible.
And I wonder, is yours in the same order as mine, or is my,
I'm not
um,
sure. I have it in, it looks like it's in alphabetical order almost, or maybe not.
I picked the number 6.
Nikki. That's who I
I have
see.
a different order than you, I think.
Okay.
I'm seeing Melissa. I guess Melissa looks like my winner.
Well, there we go. Melissa. Yay.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah, I guess my
much.
order was a little different. But yeah, so Melissa, I will put my email address in and just email me and we can work out getting you a new air contact core.
Wow. So cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Melissa.
Hey, Nikki,
Don't
you can
worry,
email me
Nikki.
too, and I'll send you a hiking bag instead as a backup prize.
Oh, thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
That's so generous of you.
And I'll be honest, Amy, like I never win, so I wasn't even paying attention. So what did I win?
Oh, the air contact core backpacking bag, our new
Oh,
one that
sweet.
just came
Okay,
out.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so just email me and I'll let you know what color and sizes we have available.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so, so much. This is so, so generous, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you. Okay, so now we have Cris Hazzard. who is AKA the hiking guy. He's going to be talking all about navigation basics. Cris is a friend of mine. I've been blessed to talk on panels with him and have him as a guest on our podcast. He's a professional hiking guide and author. He has so many amazing guides on YouTube. He talks about different trails. I'll let him talk a little bit more about what he does, but he writes some pretty in-depth trail reviews. He has gear reviews. He is a wealth of knowledge. I'm very grateful to call Cris a colleague, someone that I very much admire and appreciate for all the work he does for hikers. So without further ado, Cris, let's hear it from you.
Thank you, Carla. That was a big build up there. Hopefully I'll live up to it, but thank you. So yeah, I want to talk about or just share some tips for navigation basics with you. And for me, and I think a lot of people, when you think of hiking navigation, it's an easy thing to kind of like glaze over, right? You see the picture of like the map and the compass, and you're like, oh God, what do I have to figure out here? And it's easier than that. And I look at it in a different way. And I've built my guides too in a different way, because I think traditionally the way guides have been, guidebooks, when I first started hiking, there was no all trails. Right now, you have all trails, you have an app, there's a blue line. You can really just show up somewhere. It gives you directions to the trailhead. You can show up on the trail. You can make sure you're on the blue line or not, and potentially do a hike without knowing anything else, which is incredible. Incredible. I bet you if we went back in time like 200 years, people's minds would be blown. Go back 50 years or less. Let me show you this. I was looking through my stuff when I was thinking about navigation. This is a GPS unit that I had from 1999. No map on it. It just gives you a latitude and longitude that I used to use with a map. But it was a little bit better because in the old days, when you didn't have those apps, you had to figure a little bit more out before you went there. And that was an asset when you went out, because following the blue line is incredibly powerful, and it works, the majority of the time, but sometimes you need more than that. And when I started, I showed you this, I used to read guidebooks, right? Is that a thing anymore? A guidebook, right? You'd read a guidebook and it would say, go 1 mile and bear west at the aspen grove, and you'd have to like decode what that meant and then think about it and look for an aspen grove or something, whatever it said. But the nice thing about that was it gave you some context as to what you're doing. It wasn't just being on a blue line, because, Carla, we had talked about this before. If you're hiking, say 10 miles, right, and you're following a blue line, that 10 miles can be a flat walk on a paved path along a lake or something that's totally flat and pretty harmless. That 10 miles can be a super steep, sketchy, scree field. It could be mountaineering. You don't know from a blue line, from a two-dimensional blue line. You just cannot tell that. And for me, I think the biggest or the most important thing in navigation is the prep you do. It's what you figure out before, so that you know what you're getting into, right? It's not just knowing make a left turn in 1 mile. It's really like, what should I be expecting on this trail? Is it a walk on the lake, or am I going to be, hanging off the side of a cliff somewhere? Because it's obviously a very different experience, and your safety depends on that. I think knowing where you are and feeling confident in where you're going on the trail is probably the biggest thing you can do to ensure your safety when you're out there. I mean, think about if you were in, I don't know, Kansas, and you had to drive to New York, and you didn't have any maps. You didn't know what you're doing. You didn't know where you're going to stop for gas or overnight. It sounds kind of nuts, but when you just fire up an app and you follow blue line, you can kind of do that. So prep beforehand. And when you're prepping, I think All Trails is a great tool to use for that. We all probably know how far we can hike. And the other, if you do 5 miles next week, maybe do 5.5, maybe, build up gradually. that's kind of common sense. What you want to look at is you want to look at total ascent. What is it called on? It's called elevation gain on all trails. I would share my screen, but I got some kind of message from Zoom yelling at me that I don't have permission. But I think it's my computer. It's not the Zoom. But anyway, if you go on all trails, each hike has something called elevation gain, and that's basically how much are you going to be climbing. So a 10-mile walk or hike along a lake with 100 feet of elevation gain is flat. 10 miles of 6,000 feet of elevation gain is going to be going straight up. So that's the first thing you're going to want to look at. And then you're going to want to look at the elevation profile, because if you're doing a big mountain, that's going to be going straight up. And if you're, if it's ups and downs, that can often be tougher because you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. You really have to know what you're getting into, because if you can hike 10 miles flat, it doesn't mean you can hike 10 miles with 6,000 feet of elevation gains. They're very different things. And that's going to affect your experience. And it's going to basically short circuit your navigation before you even go there, because maybe you thought you could do a 10-hour hike in 5 hours, or sorry, 10-mile hike in 5 hours. Now it's 6,000 feet. Now it's something that might take you 20 hours or 24 hours, or maybe not even going to finish. So that's an important aspect to look at beforehand. Also, you're going to want to know the context of what you're getting into, what you're going to be navigating through. All Trails, another great place to go. Look at the trip reports. It's got the most vibrant community in terms of trip reports, I think, just because there's so many people using it. I forget what the user base is. It's millions, I think. But go on there, see what people are saying about the trail, what to expect. Another clue is when you go to All Trails, if you're not sure if a trail is like established or popular or maybe something for you, a clue is to see how many people have left reviews. If a trail has like hundreds or thousands of reviews, it's a popular trail. It's probably, easy to navigate. There's probably going to be other people in case you get lost. If you find a trail and it's got like 4 or 5 reviews over years, that means that it's off the beaten track and it's probably not something that you're going to want to attempt. Other thing, before you start like navigating on trail, you're going to want to just search YouTube, go watch some videos, search for blogs, see what people are saying about it. There's a hike that we have here in Southern California called the Bridge to Nowhere. Really popular hike, not really a lot of climbing. There are river crossings though. But if you just looked at the mileage, you would just say, okay, whatever this is, it's here, I brought it up here. It's 9.6 miles, 1,200 feet of climbing. Really not a tough climb. But right now, the streams coming off the mountains, all the snow melts are swollen. Somebody died last week crossing one of those streams. It's horrible. But that type of context is crucial to know as part of your navigation. What am I going to be doing on this hike? Am I going to be walking on a paved path, alongside of some lake, or am I going to be crossing streams where I might be risking my life? All of these things you're going to want to do before you even get out on the trail. I look at this as part of the navigation exercise, I guess you could put it that way. So do your homework. It doesn't have to be long, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Just it'll give you more enjoyment on the trail too, because you'll have confidence in what you're going to, what you're going to be experiencing and what to expect. Other quick thing I would just say before you go, share your plans with somebody. It's one of the biggest things you can do to ensure your safety. You just have to, like, if you can share a link from All Trails, or if you find a blog or a YouTube video, just share that link with somebody. Tell them I'll be home at a certain time, and call the 911 if I'm not back. You don't have to wait 24 hours. You don't have to wait 48 hours. Those are TV things. Call as soon as you know there's a problem, because time is an asset, or a commodity, I guess, and a rescue. So now I haven't even gotten to the trail, and that's what I do to navigate before I even get there. In terms of tools for navigation, I just reviewed a handheld GPS on my channel, because it's from Garmin. In the old days, we would have these things and we walk around with these. These days, you use your phone, right? Use your phone. And in most conditions, a phone is totally fine. Something like All Trails on a phone does the job 98% of the time, I think, for most people. If you want a little extra protection, you can get like a rugged case for it. There's a company called OtterBox that makes things called the Defender cases. You can definitely have a battery backup in case your battery is going to run out if you're navigating with your phone. But, get a good hiking app like All Trails. If you get a plus membership on All Trails, which I think is, I don't know, it is $20, $30 a year, you're able to download your maps offline. One of the things when you're out navigating and you're using a phone is that if you go out of cell phone range, you won't be able to load the maps onto your phone. And then you might be following a blue line, but you won't know what trail junctions are around or what to do. So get some, there's other apps that you can get that do free offline maps. There's one called Organic Maps. There's different ones. I have, if you search for hiking guide, best hiking gear, I'll just list what I have on that page. But download offline maps and put your phone in airplane mode. Airplane mode saves the battery. It's a little tricky these days because now we have phones that are satellite enabled with T-Mobile, T-Satellite, and that basically uses satellites like cell towers. The technology is a little bit Wild West right now, but the general rule of thumb is if you put your phone in airplane mode, the battery won't drain down and you'll be able to navigate and save the battery at the same time. That's what you want to do if you're prepping. If you're somewhere where the weather is bad and it's raining out or you're wearing gloves, the phone can fall apart pretty quickly. If you ever tried to use a phone in the pouring rain and like go around the touchscreen, it's not a fun experience. That's the type of situation where you might want to invest in a handheld GPS from Garmin. It's going to, if you do have a GPS from Garmin, it's going to feel like you've transported yourself to like 1995. The UI, the technology is kind of clunky, but they do that for a reason. They do that to make it simple to use or just simple to wrap your mind around when you're out on a trail. If you're sitting in your living room and you're looking at a hiking GPS and you're like, why are the buttons so big? Why is it so like basic? Fast forward to when you've been hiking all day, you're 20 miles into a hike, your eyes are blown out because you've been above the tree line and you're tired and you just want to like hit a button, like go back to the start. Like that's when that type of clunky interface doesn't seem so clunky anymore. And trying to kind of mess around on a phone screen can be challenging. And I know that obviously from experience. So if you hike in bad conditions, maybe invest in a GPS. The other thing I would say is when you go out on a hike, again, before you go on a hike, I find it really helpful to chunk a hike into different sections, right? So let's say we're hiking to Mount Whitney. It's a just under 22-mile hike, bucket list hike, real tough hike. People do it as a backpacking trip, or you could do it as a day hike. Instead of saying I have to hike 22 miles today, train for that, obviously, but break it into chunks. Say I'm going to do 3.5 miles to Outpost Camp. And then I'm going to do 3 miles up to Trail Crest. And I'm going to do 2 miles to the summit. That will help you mentally in your navigation. And what it'll also do is it'll also force you to look at natural points that you can chunk, like intersections, right? You can really break a hike up navigating it if you don't have your GPS into like, where do I make a right and a left? It's obviously more nuanced like that. If you go, sometimes there's little, animal trails that split off and it's hard to tell what's what, but on popular trails, it's really like, where do I make a right and a left? So if you go ahead beforehand, look at the map on the guide, look at the map in All Trails and say, okay, it's 2 miles to this junction. I'm just going to remember that, or write it in your notes app on your phone, 2 miles to the Gabrielino Trail Junction, and then 2 miles to Winter Creek Trail Junction. That will help you navigate because you'll be looking for something forward, and you'll also have those landmarks in your head. And the other thing that's nice about that is that you should always bring a paper map with you. Batteries fail, even on GPS units, batteries fail. If the battery in your phone dies, you don't want to be stuck. And if you've basically chunked your hike up and you kind of wrote notes about where I need to go, louder. It's too low. Sorry.
Just about paper maps, because there's so many that I know that won't stop at trailheads or stop at visitor centers to grab paper maps before they go out hiking. And they're counting on their phone, or they're counting on All Trails or Avenza, and those aren't always accurate, and you can lose service. And it's, even if you download something, it's not reliable. Batteries die.
Yep. Yeah. So sorry, I didn't know it was like an audio issue, but but yeah. So you're going to want the paper map. Usually if I'm going somewhere, from traveling, I'll just pop into an REI. They usually have the local maps there. But what you can do is, before you go, an easy trick is you can just trace your route out with a pencil on the map, and you can just look at All Trails on a computer screen, easily do that, and then have it there. And if you're keeping track of, like, if you're chunking your hike into junctions, you know, okay, in a mile, I'm going to make a right. 2 miles, I'm going to make a left. You don't really need to get too tricky with a compass. I'm not going to sit here and walk you through navigating with a compass right now. Great skill to learn. Important if you're, out there. It's vital if you're off trail. But on trail, the key thing to know on paper or electronic is knowing which two trail junctions or which two landmarks you're between. Because if your battery does die on your phone, you know that, okay, 10 minutes ago, I went through this last trail junction. My pace is 20 minutes a mile. So I can guesstimate where I am. And I know that if I go forward, I should be hitting this trail junction in a certain amount of time. Or if I go backwards to just go home, I'm looking for this last trail junction that I just went through. And it really doesn't have to be any more complicated than that when you're starting out. And again, you could take courses. The Sierra Club here in Southern California has like a wilderness backcountry navigation course where you can really get hardcore, but it can be intimidating. So I think just doing that with the paper map, having that as a backup, is going to get you 90% of the way there, even in an emergency situation. The last thing I want to say is, when you're navigating, if you get lost, I get lost fairly often still. I'm exploring. The best thing to do is to backtrack until you realize where you are. And don't keep going forward if you don't know where you are. Backtrack until you get to where you are. If you don't see anything that looks familiar, it's okay to ask for help. There was just a post on Facebook from Sierra Madre. It was yesterday. And they specifically say there was a hiker who was after dark. They saw a mountain lion and they were scared. They didn't know what to do, whether to go forward or go backward. Sierra Madre said, the subject did the correct thing by raising the alarm. If you encounter a situation or you are concerned for your safety, don't hesitate to call or send a satellite message if your phone could do it, or if you carry a satellite communicator. Getting lost is one of those situations. If you get lost, call 911. If you have a satellite communicator, chat with Garmin Response. Tell them you're lost. It'll send, when you do a message through a Garmin InReach, it'll send your position. So they'll be able to see on a map exactly where you are. Other services like Overwatch and Rescue, it's another kind of response thing. Same thing. You can always ask for help. It doesn't mean, asking for help doesn't mean a helicopter is going to come in and take you away. It could just mean they're going to tell you how to get out of the situation. Or if you don't know where you are and you're lost and you can't talk to anyone, you stop. That's what you do. You stop and you stay where you are. Hopefully you've shared your plans and people can know where to find you, or go on your route, but you want to stop. You don't want to keep moving along. One other tip I'd throw out there is, if you do have a phone and you don't have service, you're going to want to dial 911 no matter what, because the way it works in most places in the world is that if your carrier doesn't have like regular connection in an area, but another carrier does, they will honor 911 calls. So if I don't have T-Mobile connection, you'll see on the phone, it'll say emergency calls only. That means you're out of your carrier cell phone range, but you're in other carrier cell phone ranges. So dial 911, ask for help. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be like a helicopter coming in. You can be lost and ask for help. That's totally reasonable. And then I would say, if when you do finish your hike and you have navigated successfully, leave a trip report. Go to the places where your community is, leave a trip report, and let other people know what the conditions are. Pass it forward so that when other people do it, they will know what to expect. Because again, it's not just following the blue line, it's all of the other things that can really get you into trouble out there. That was what I had. Does anyone have any questions or anything? That was a lot. I just probably dumped a lot of info out there, but
I think it was really, great information. Feel free to chime in if you have any questions for Cris, or pop into the chat. And really, really, really helpful information, Cris. And also, it's important what you talked about. I think people really need to understand the importance of doing their due diligence before going out hiking and having those backups. And I used to use CalTopo. Do you use them by chance?
Yeah. So I use CalTopo to plan, and they also have a mobile app which just got better and has offline maps, $20 a year, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So I used to go in there and I would print a map and I would do exactly what you said. I would, draw a line on it. I think you can also do that with All Trails Pro or Plus. Now they changed their name. You can also print the map that way. So it was pretty straightforward, especially when I would do something in the backcountry. I've kind of been a little more local trails, more well-marked city stuff. So I haven't been doing a ton of that lately, but I always, if I'm doing some sort of a backpacking backcountry, that's a must. It's just like automatic. And put it in a plastic bag, because if rain comes in or something, you want to have that map be like in a waterproof bag. So
yep. Ziploc. The old Ziploc gallon bags are perfect. Yep. You can fold the map, you can keep it in there. But in practical terms, I keep a map with me. I use my phone, or I use my watch to see where I am. There's different sort of levels of navigation. Like I'll put my course on my watch, and if I'm hiking, I'll just glance down. If I'm in question, or if I see a junction coming up, I can glance and just see right away, oh yeah, this is where I make the left or right. But I've usually done enough prep work that I know that if I need to see more context around a trail or around an area, like I'm not really sure where I am, the watch is tough to use. And then I could just go on the screen and pinch around. And worst case, I can use the paper map. And the paper map is great for looking around, for seeing context of where you are, different peaks. And it's just, what do they say? It's one of the military branches. They say 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So you want to have backups. You want to have a phone. You want to have paper at the very least.
Yep, the redundancy. Ginny said, do you use UTM at all?
I do not. So this GPS device, I don't even know if power's on. This would give you a latitude and longitude. You could do MGRS, you could do UTM, and I would use this to cross-reference onto a map. Some people, if that's your thing, that could be your thing. For me, I just like being outside, and all of that extra work is just sort of another thing to do. I'd rather just look at the sky or the trees or nature than mess around with that. So I really appreciate the conveniences of things like All Trails, and there's a great app for Android and for Apple called Footpath, where you can put the routes on there, and the Footpath app has a Apple Watch app too, where you can look down. But in general, I just want to enjoy the outdoors and not be playing with devices and paper and everything unless I need to.
Well, thank you so much. If any other questions come up, we'll ping you. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close our call. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner of our Oboz Footwear pair of shoes. So I'm going to pick 1 out of 10, and I got Holly. You're the winner. So shoot me a message at hello@52hikechallenge.com and I will get you hooked up with that code.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so a couple quick notes before we close up for tonight. We have our next meeting Wednesday, June 3rd at 5:00 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be talking a little bit about some summer hiking gear tips and more. Just some reminders, especially as it starts getting warm. Big news, I haven't officially announced it, but it's coming soon. I am leading the Annapurna Circuit trek, and that's going to be October 19th through the 30th. This is going to be my 3rd trip that I'm co-hosting. We've done Kilimanjaro, Patagonia, and now we're going to do Nepal. So hopefully you guys will join me for that. Also, this April, we are relaunching our Earth series with our partner Leave No Trace. We are both fundraising and also doing good. You do 10 cleanup hikes, 2 Leave No Trace activities. It's a really awesome thing to add on to your hike challenge. And don't forget, we host events all around the US. Some of our leaders are really active, Minnesota chapter. Melissa, who's here actually as our leader there, she is so good about leading a monthly hike there, and they have an excellent, amazing community. So please check out our events. And otherwise, I think that's it for today. Does anyone else have anything else to say before we shut down and let you all get some rest?
Happy trails. Don't get lost. Get lost, but don't get lost, right?
Get found. Stay found.
Right.
Stay found. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Cris. Thank you, Amy. Really appreciate you both being on. And I will be sharing this on our YouTube page so that everyone else who wasn't live with us can actually still get this really valuable information and content. Really appreciate it all. Jenny, you're more than welcome. If you have questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions you have.
Yeah, I was just having trouble logging them on the website.
Okay, so we do have, it's not like a traditional logger, but when you log your hikes, that's every 10, it automates an email with a badge. Have you tried that? And
yeah, I just was having trouble with the website. I'll try again and then I'll be in touch with you by email. How about that?
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, and then also like you can keep track through your log. We don't keep we don't actually collect the logs. It's more to help you to stay on track. I'm so close. Like we've been working on an app just to help with tracking. I can kind of show it here. It's a very basic app, but oh my gosh, it's just taken so much time to actually get it from. It's taken a lot longer, but I'm crossing my fingers and not losing hope that maybe we can still launch something this year. It's so close. So that's
Talk to Claude.
Something to be determined. I might actually have to like ask someone in the community to help me finish what we started here. But anyways, yeah. So that'll be something that is exciting for future information coming on that. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks so much.